Hi everyone. I hope my voice is audible to everyone.
Yeah, we can add it.
Yes, sir.
So we are going
Yes,
to
sir.
start the
Audible.
session now in next 1 minute. We are going to start the session now in next 1 minute. Okay. So guys, this training is going to be awesome training. I assure you. What I want you to do is whatever queries you have, post it in the chat window. And what I want you to do is keep your mobile phone aside for next 1 hour. Whatever you are going to learn, you are going to learn a lot. Just keep your mobile phone aside for next 1 hour. And this, I assure you, this is going to be a awesome learning for you.
Sure, definitely.
And one more thing, like quick takeaways, like if you have any doubts, questions during the session, I'll give you chance to ask all the questions, queries. And in case while I'm speaking, and if you have any question, you can post your question in the chat window, and I assure none of your question will remain unanswered during the session. This is going to be one of the best session you have attended, I assure you. Okay, so should we start, like organizer, or are we waiting for anyone?
Ashish, I think we can start. I think everyone is there.
So hi everyone, my name is Ashish Agarwal, and I'll be delivering this session to you. So today's session we are going to conduct is on Oracle GoldenGate types of architecture and installation. So basically it will be an introduction to GoldenGate, different architecture involved, and installation. So as you all are aware, this is a 2-day training program, 2-day session, which we are learning which we are going to do right now, kind of a webinar we are doing. So in which we are going to discuss about introduction to Oracle GoldenGate architecture, different types of architecture, and how to install, what things you need to keep in mind while installing. We'll be discussing all about that. Before starting, just a quick details about me. So I'm expert in Oracle GoldenGate and Oracle database. I have more than 15 plus years of experience in GoldenGate and 14 plus years of training experience in GoldenGate. I have various high rated courses available like Oracle GoldenGate Classic Architecture, Microservices, Veridata. I have trained so far 5,500 plus trainees and taken 250 plus corporate clients as well. I'm Oracle certified professional and Oracle certified, GoldenGate certified as well. I'm blogger and speaker. I have a lot of blogs, and I am speaker at a lot of Oracle communities like AIUUG, or I have presented my paper in Oracle Open World as well related to Oracle GoldenGate. So I'm doing this GoldenGate for a long time, and yeah. So the session agenda, the 2-day session agenda, basically it includes introduction to Oracle GoldenGate, different types of Oracle GoldenGate architecture, Oracle GoldenGate Classic Architecture, microservices architecture. What is the difference between GoldenGate Classic and microservices architecture and components? Oracle GoldenGate installation and practical demo also will be doing. So we'll be doing installation of 21C as well, and I'll show you what is the difference of installation between 21C and 19C. So the latest version of GoldenGate is 21C. Okay, so we'll move forward now. I'm giving you next 10 seconds to turn off your mobile, put it in silent mode, and focus on the session. So I'm giving you next 10 seconds to do that. Please do that. Okay. Okay. So let us start. I hope everyone has turned off their mobile. So now we'll start. Oracle GoldenGate, first of all, what and why. So before I start, I'll give you a brief overview of GoldenGate. So basically, GoldenGate was founded in 1995. It was founded in 1995 by two individuals. Now, it was named after famous San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge. Okay. In 1995, it was a standalone company. In 2009, Oracle overtook it, and since then it is known as Oracle GoldenGate. So GoldenGate was initially founded for the tandem databases, which are for ATMs. Initially, it was for that. Now, since Oracle overtook it, the support of this database has been extended to multiple platforms. Along with that, multiple databases. Now, you name a database, GoldenGate supports it. Like the version supports your Informix database as well, NoSQL databases. So most of the databases are now supported. So Oracle GoldenGate, what and why? So what is GoldenGate? So GoldenGate provides near real-time transactional data replication. So near real-time means as soon as the transaction gets committed on source, it gets replicated on the target database within near real-time. Now with GoldenGate, the replication can be unidirectional, bidirectional, or multidimensional. So unidirectional means one-way replication. That means you have one site A, you want to replicate it to site B. So it will be unidirectional replication. Bidirectional replication means both sites will be live. So whatever transactions happens on site A, they will be replicated to site B. Whatever transactions happens on site B, they will be replicated to site A. So GoldenGate supports bidirectional replication. Also, it supports multi-dimensional replication. That means there might be multiple sites involved like A, B, C, and replication will happen among themselves. Replication can involve another thing with GoldenGate is replication can involve several sources and targets simultaneously and be used for distributing data for backup, hot, standby, auditing, reporting, data warehousing, and load distribution as well. So there can be one source, multiple targets, or there can be one source, multiple targets. That means you want to replicate the same data to multiple systems, or there can be multiple sources replicating data to single target, like in data warehousing. Now, for replication, whatever is happening in GoldenGate, because it's real time, you can use it to distribute data for backup, hot standby, auditing, reporting, warehousing, as well as load distribution as well. So GoldenGate has a lot of capability. It's near real-time replication. I'll tell you one thing, Oracle promotes it as real-time replication, but I always say, I always be cautious with that. It's a near real-time, because near real-time means there will be a milliseconds or seconds of delay, like as in a real-time environment. When things are good, the lag of few seconds is considered good. So GoldenGate allows you to replicate the data in near real time. Real time means as soon as data gets committed. So you won't feel the way, if based on the configuration, you won't feel the replication being happening on both the databases as lagging. But there is always a delay, slight delay, maybe milliseconds, 10 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, or it can involve seconds as well. So you can use this for distributing data for backup, hot standby, auditing. So the thing is, I'll give you one quick example of it. In 2011, I was working with one of the biggest Bank of India, State Bank of India. Okay. Now their database size at that moment was 43 terabytes. Now, those of you who are from India, you guys can relate to this. During that time, State Bank of India is considered as a government bank. During that time, it was losing customers' loyalty because of the response time which it used to receive. So the thing was, when we used to go to the bank to do any OLTP transaction, day-to-day transaction, at that time, you must have heard your parents or yourself, you might have experienced. They used to say that server is down, come back after a few minutes. What did they mean by server is down? They meant that basically what was happening was, because on a database like in banking or telecom domain, what happens is during a daytime, on a OLTP database, what happens is they have lot of reporting jobs which consume lot of bandwidth, which consume lot of CPU time, which consume lot of DB time, due to which the response time from the database used to be less. So I was working at that time with a team of 2 people at that time, 3 people we were overall. We identified their problem at that time. We understood, we suggest, they used to replicate, they used to have data guard at that time. Now data guard used to lag behind a lot. So their target wasn't working at all. It was standby basically. So what we suggested is we'll create a replica of the database using GoldenGate. GoldenGate will replicate the data in near real time, and they can switch their reporting jobs to that server which is getting data using Oracle. We built the secondary site for them using GoldenGate. Okay, the primary server was kept in Mumbai, secondary was kept in Hyderabad, India. So on the Hyderabad server, what we did was we created a secondary server, secondary database, which is used to replicate the data using Oracle GoldenGate. Now, after switching their reporting jobs, you won't believe they saw the improvement of more than 75%. And the customer dissatisfaction was no longer there. Along with that, the customer loyalty was back with them. So GoldenGate, so this is what you can use Target for reporting, auditing, hot standby, whatever way you want to use. So I'm giving you one of the use case of this GoldenGate. There are multiple use cases available. GoldenGate nowadays is used for business intelligence purpose. GoldenGate, along with Informatica or ODI, Oracle Data Integrator, which is another Oracle product, one of the best business intelligence tool available in the market. Okay, now with GoldenGate, another advantage is data may be replicated as is, or replicated data may be transformed, split into different distributions, have metadata added or filtered. So another advantage with GoldenGate is you can replicate the data as is, or you can filter or transform the data between source and target. So say, for example, there are 100 transactions happening on source. You want to replicate only particular 5 transactions. You can do that with GoldenGate. There are some on source, you have got a column salary and commission column. On target, you have got only one column salary. You want that combination of salary and commission should be applied on the target database. You can do that. So basically, GoldenGate supports data filtration as well as data transformation as well. This is what it means. Data may be replicated as it is. So as is, like whatever your transaction going on, it can be replicated as is, or you can edit the data, transform the data, split into different distributions. It depends on the business requirement. Now when you are new, the question which I receive from everyone in this scenario when I discuss about this is, how do you ensure the transactional data integrity if you want to edit the data, transform the data, filter the data as per the requirement? See, it depends on the customer requirement. Some of the customer have different requirement. Based on that, you can work. Like you can have some extra columns added with the metadata added from the source. You can, with GoldenGate, the another advantage is both DML as well as DDL can be replicated using Oracle GoldenGate. Now, one more thing I want to tell you with GoldenGate is, another advantage with GoldenGate is your source, GoldenGate source database and target database can be on different platform as well. So your source can be, say, for example, higher version 19C or 21C, and target can be 11G. GoldenGate can replicate the data. Your source can be 11G, target can be 19C or 21C. GoldenGate can replicate the data. So either your database version and GoldenGate version both can be same or different here. Database version as well as GoldenGate version both can be same or different, means here. So your higher GoldenGate version. So first let us talk about higher GoldenGate version. So suppose your GoldenGate version is 21C and target GoldenGate version is 11G. Will there be any issue? No, GoldenGate can replicate the data. Your source GoldenGate version is 11G, target is 19C. Will GoldenGate be able to replicate the data? Yes, it can. Similarly, your source database version suppose is 21C and target is 11G. Can GoldenGate replicate the data? Yes, it can. Your source database version is 11G and target database version is 19C. Will there be any issue in GoldenGate replication? As long as the product support is there, the GoldenGate support we are talking about, yes, that will be supported without any issues. So GoldenGate supports forward compatibility as well as backward compatibility. Backward means the lower version is also supported on the target database. Okay, So the next question is, so another important thing, many people, what happens is they ask, this is one of the common questions. Data guard can also replicate the data. What is the difference between GoldenGate and data guard? So again, that is a big topic, but I'll just answer that in a few words, like GoldenGate versus data guard. So I always say one thing, you can compare apple to apple, but you cannot compare apple with oranges, right? Now, few things. There is a question from Rahul as well. When do we replace data guard with GoldenGate? How, or can we replace data guard with GoldenGate? Is it possible to replace? So the thing is, as I mentioned to you, it is GoldenGate is a product and data guard is a product which have two different requirements. Though the work which they do, it seem to be similar, but it's not similar. I'll tell you what. GoldenGate versus data guard. GoldenGate, first of all, I'll talk about the few benefits. Like I told you about forward compatibility and backward compatibility, right? GoldenGate supports that, which data guard has limitations. Along with that, GoldenGate database is read-write mode. Data guard now is read-only available. Okay. Second thing is, you also have the method active data guard, but I'm talking about active data guard is licensed product. I'm talking about physical standby. Okay. Another thing is, with GoldenGate, as I told you, the version can be different, but that not with data guard. With data guard, they have to be same version. Another thing is platform. So platforms can be different. So in GoldenGate, so your source can be on Windows server, target can be on Linux. Can GoldenGate replicate the data? Absolutely. Your source can be on Sun Solaris, target can be on 𝐻𝐵𝐿. Can GoldenGate replicate the data? Absolutely, it can do that. However, with data guard, is it possible? No. That is another thing. Another important thing which I talked about was data filtration and transformation. So GoldenGate supports data filtration and transformation as well. That means with GoldenGate, as I told you, you can filter out the data. You can transform the data as per business requirement. However, with data guard, you cannot. Okay. Now, GoldenGate is also used as business intelligence. With data guard, cannot. Now, another important thing, why there are certain differences between data guard and GoldenGate. Another important thing is finance. GoldenGate is licensed product. However, data guard is free product. That is another. Okay. Now there are multiple things. There are few other differences which I can list, but I don't want to list them out right now. We'll be discussing that as we move forward. Another important thing, GoldenGate is near real-time replication, while data guard always has some lag. I was talking about I gave you that SBI example, right? Now SBI at that time, they used to have lag of around 3 days as well, or 4 days as well with data guard. During nightly jobs, they used to generate almost 500 or 1,000 archives during that nightly job, and data guard used to lag a lot. But with GoldenGate, it didn't happen. Okay. Oracle data guard is also a real-time replication with lag of seconds. In ideal scenario, yes, but if you have there are a lot of configuration and a lot of things involved with that, right? Another important thing is GoldenGate also supports heterogeneous databases, right? GoldenGate also supports your heterogeneous database. That means GoldenGate not only supports Oracle database, it supports your non-Oracle databases. So GoldenGate will replicate all records of data or any lag of data. It can replicate all the data, whatever is available in transaction logs of the database. So suppose during replication of data with GoldenGate, if transaction is running on source, then how it will replicate exact data? You will understand. Once we discuss about architecture, this question will be answered for you. So now the next thing is, who should be learning GoldenGate? Like GoldenGate, you must have seen in it's right now one of the niche technology and one of the hottest technology in the market, right? Most of the job requirement, job support which are coming, even with GoldenGate, they require GoldenGate knowledge. Like I'll tell you one thing. If there are 100 jobs related to database administrator in the market, you will find 100,000 resumes for that. There's so much competition. But if you still go out into the market, if there are, say for example, 50 jobs related to GoldenGate, 50 jobs you'll find in the market related to GoldenGate. Genuinely, you will find only 500 resumes or 100 resumes for GoldenGate. So the limit means the competition when you have GoldenGate is very less. Another important thing is with GoldenGate, you can earn a lot. Like in the US, when I talk about average salary of database administrator, you may find around 80,000 to 100,000. But if you learn Oracle GoldenGate, you can add almost 40 to 50% of package in that. So average salary, if you have GoldenGate knowledge, is 140 to 150,000 dollars. So who should be learning GoldenGate? If you are DBAs and apps DBAs, Oracle and non-Oracle database administrator, if you are PL/SQL developers, technologists responsible for data replication, high availability data technologies, cloud migrations. Nowadays, what's happening, I'll tell you, is there are a lot of cloud migrations going on. So organizations want to move from their on-prem to cloud. Now they want zero downtime solution for that. So zero downtime means the application which is connecting to the database, it should have zero downtime. There should be no downtime. Database should always be available, right? So for that purpose, what organizations are doing, they are hiring people for short-term contracts like 3 months, 6 months contract. They pay you handsomely for that. And during that contract, your task is to migrate their database with Oracle GoldenGate with zero downtime to their cloud database. So, and they are offering you part-time offerings are there. They are offering you consultant roles. Like there are a lot of things going on in the market. And GoldenGate, if you go and see your job openings, go to Indeed, go to Naukri, go to any other job portal, you will find your GoldenGate requirement everywhere, because GoldenGate has so much capability. I'll tell you around 2017-18 thing. During that time, GoldenGate organizations were looking for people organizations were looking for DBAs who are having GoldenGate knowledge. But nowadays, organizations are using GoldenGate such that the responsibility between DBAs and GoldenGate administrators are segregated. So they are looking for people who have only GoldenGate knowledge, So even if you have only GoldenGate knowledge, even if you're starting your career and if you want to learn GoldenGate, it has a lot of potential. The main reason being the competition of GoldenGate is not there right now. Still, if you go out in this replication market, the GoldenGate replication is the GoldenGate market share is still more than 95%. There are some of its competitors, if you might have heard about SharePlex, Activity as well, but they're still not at that level. Guys, remember one thing, DataGuard is not a competitor. There is another misconception, or there is a thinking among us that DataGuard is a competitor of GoldenGate. No, you can compare apple to apple. You cannot compare apple to orange. So the purpose which DataGuard solves is completely different what GoldenGate solves. DataGuard is primarily a disaster recovery solution. That's it. So in case of disaster, it can be used. Say, for example, your primary server is kept in Mumbai, secondary server is kept in Hyderabad. And suppose there is some power outage, flooding, or anything happens, some disaster happens in Mumbai server. So quickly application could be connected to Hyderabad server. But for that, again, it needs to be real. GoldenGate serves much apart from disaster recovery. It supports a lot of other things which I told you. One of the major thing is business intelligence as well, along with disaster recovery solution. So GoldenGate capability is a lot apart from only replication purpose. So replication is one of the feature of Oracle GoldenGate, but what it brings to the table, what it brings to the organization is completely different. Okay. Now, why I learn GoldenGate? GoldenGate is almost like in GoldenGate, if you name a bank, you name a telecom company, GoldenGate is currently being used. Like, in fact, if I talk about India, Reserve Bank of India may have made it mandatory for all top banks, all the banks to use Oracle GoldenGate. So GoldenGate is used by all top banks, telecom. You name a telecom company, you name a banking sector in this world. I'm not talking about a particular region. I'm talking about whole world. Name a telecom company: Vodafone, Airtel India, Rogers, AT&T, Sprint, British Telecom. Everywhere GoldenGate is being used. Sunrise Telecom in Switzerland. Everywhere. Like if you go to smallest company in Poland, or if you go to big telecom company in US or India, everywhere GoldenGate is. Same applies to the bank. You name a bank: Axis Bank in India, HDFC Bank in India. Or if I want to talk about Royal Bank of Scotland, or if I want to talk about CIBC, Scotia Bank in Canada, everywhere this GoldenGate is being used. And another important part is it's a higher paid job. So as I told you, you can add value to your package if you have GoldenGate knowledge. So today's employers expect DBS developer to know more than. Now, another important thing I'll tell you, when this cloud boom was there during COVID time, 2020, 21 I'm talking about. During that time, if you remember, Oracle had rolled out this cloud, right? Now, during that time, I used to receive almost 10 to 15 messages on LinkedIn, almost 50 emails a day, and on my WhatsApp, I used to receive, I don't have those counts on WhatsApp about WhatsApp messages. They were asking me, with introduction of this cloud, DBAs no longer exist. Is it our DBA's role is no longer, is there no role of no role of DBAs anymore? My answer at that time was again same what I'll answer right now. See, yes, it is correct. With cloud, lot of automation is happening. Like if we compare again 9i to 10G to 9i to 11G, there were a lot of things which were improved. Then from 11G to 12C, there were a lot of improvements. And then from 12C to 19C, there are again a lot of improvements which are happening. Same thing in this area. So the thing is, if you don't upskill yourself with new technologies in the market, it's very important for you to upskill. It's not like DBAs will be redundant, but the thing is, bottom 10, 20 or 25%, definitely they will have the issue. But the top 75% who are ready to upskill themselves, if you keep upskilling yourself, if you try to learn new things, trust me, you won't be having any issues. Like I'll give you one example. I was working for one of my projects. There was a requirement. There were two people around 2021 I'm talking about. We had to cut one job due to some organization pressure. And the person, there were two persons. One had an experience of only 6 years or 5 years, I should say, at that time. And another one was almost 13 years experience. Okay. Now, at that time, we had to decide whom should we choose. And let me tell you, both were earning, the person with 13 years experience was earning almost 10-20% more. But the decision which we came was not because of salary, because salary was never under question. We decided, like the management had to decide on one person. So they evaluated between both are DBAs. Okay. It's correct. The person who is 13 years, he has more experience. But another person was there. He had good experience on GoldenGate. He had knowledge on GoldenGate. So the management decided to keep the person with lesser experience, but having GoldenGate knowledge, because they know that GoldenGate is going to be the technology which will help them a lot going forward, and that's why it was chosen. So with cloud migration, with cloud implementation, customer want real-time replication or zero downtime migration from on-prem to cloud or cloud to on-prem. Okay, so now let us discuss about different types of Oracle GoldenGate architecture. Now, Oracle GoldenGate is a product which replicates the data from source to target. That is, as soon as the transaction gets committed on source, it gets replicated on target. Now, there are two types of architecture in GoldenGate. One is classic, second is microservices. Many of you must have heard about microservices GoldenGate, or have you? Just type yes if you have heard about microservices, and no if you haven't heard about microservices. I'm talking about GoldenGate microservices. Yes. I'm receiving the combination of yes and no here. Okay, no problem. I'll tell you. So GoldenGate was founded in 1995, and it was GoldenGate only at that time. In 2009, Oracle overtook it, and since then it is known as Oracle GoldenGate. Okay, now from 2009 to 2017, there was only one way to configure GoldenGate. That was through command prompt, GGSCI. You must have heard about GGSCI, many of you who have worked, right? So that command prompt architecture, there was only one way to configure GoldenGate. It was called as Oracle GoldenGate until 2017. In 2017, Oracle renamed this architecture to Oracle GoldenGate Classic Architecture. They renamed it to Oracle GoldenGate Classic Architecture. And they launched a new architecture of GoldenGate, which is called as Oracle GoldenGate Microservices Architecture. So microservices architecture was introduced in 2017, is available from GoldenGate version 12.3 onwards. So until 12.2 GoldenGate, there is only GoldenGate Classic. From 12.3 to 21C, there is OGG Classic and microservices both. And from 21C onwards, basically 23C, from 23C, there will be microservices. So classic architecture is getting deprecated. It's not getting desupported. Guys, let me tell you, still if you go out into the market, 80% of implementations are still on classic architecture. Microservices share is still around 20%. But Oracle is planning to upgrade a lot of its customer to microservices architecture. The reason being, you must have heard a lot of technologies, they are moving to microservices right now. So GoldenGate, to keep track or keep on hold with the ongoing trend with the market, that's why what they have done is they have introduced microservices, and microservices is a big hit. The reason being, it has two things. It's one of the main feature of microservices is it's a REST API tool, and it also has a GUI, web-based interface. So until in Oracle GoldenGate Classic Architecture, it's only command prompt. So let me show it to you once. These are the virtual boxes again, which will be shared with you as well with the training. So I'll go to /data app Oracle product GG_classic. Okay, so when I log into GGSCI, so you can configure Oracle GoldenGate from this GGSCI prompt. This is classic architecture. This is classic architecture. Okay, now I'll show you microservices as well. Okay, so this is microservices which will come in front of you. So it requires your username, password when we install. So all these things you'll be learning. So when you create, say, for example, extract or replicate in GoldenGate environment, you will understand what is extract, replicate, but you have this web-based user interface and microservices architecture. However, in Classic, it's only command prompt based. So GoldenGate Classic architecture is command prompt based architecture, and it is available for both Oracle as well as non-Oracle database. It is available since beginning of GoldenGate. Microservices architecture is available from GoldenGate version 12.3 onwards. It allows you to set up, manage, troubleshoot, configure GoldenGate through GUI. It allows better integration with cloud applications. So these cloud applications going on. So with GoldenGate, it allows better integration with cloud applications as well. It is available for Oracle database. So until 19C, until GoldenGate version 19C, this microservices architecture was available for, until 19C, MSA was available only for Oracle database. Now from 21C, GoldenGate, MSA is available for MySQL, DB2, SQL Server, and Postgres database. For these, so total 5 databases including Oracle, this is available. Okay. So this microservices architecture now is available for these 5 databases. So from 23C, for these 5 databases, including Oracle, GoldenGate Classic architecture will be deprecated. That means no new version of Classic architecture will be. So basically, if I have to say, Classic architecture is present and going to be there for at least next, based on the implementations and based on the, what should I say, based on the usage or based on the current implementation going on, based on the expertise, Classic architecture is not going to go away for at least next 3 to 5 years. Microservices architecture is definitely the future of GoldenGate. Now, one more thing which is being asked is, what is the future of GoldenGate? See, GoldenGate is here, will be here. Oracle has introduced this microservices architecture now. So with microservices architecture, it is now keeping track with the ongoing environment, ongoing technologies. So microservices is one of the major additions of Oracle GoldenGate environment. Okay, so microservices architecture is going only from 23 onwards. GoldenGate is only going to release binaries for microservices architecture. Now, there is another product in GoldenGate family which is called as Veridata. Have you ever heard about Veridata? Anyone? You must have heard. Many of you must have heard, right? Yes, I am receiving yes. Okay, so I'll give a brief overview for those because I am receiving the mixed responses. So Veridata is another product in GoldenGate family which allows you to verify the data. The product name is Oracle GoldenGate family, and it is a separate license product. Let me tell you. What Veridata does is it is used to find data discrepancies between 2 objects, and it can repair them as well. So say, for example, you are replicating the data from source to target DEPT11 to DEPT22. For example, you are replicating the data. Now, this is ongoing for last 10 years. Now, suppose on source, you have got 10,000 records. On target, you have got 9,000 records. So what Veridata can do for you is it can identify the discrepant records for you. And if needed, if you want to repair these discrepancies, like if you want to get this in sync between source and target, what Veridata can do for you is it can do the repair as well for you. Okay. Another important thing is, say, for example, the count matches, for example, 10,000 records on source. 10,000 records on target. But suppose there is a column in which there is a mismatch. So GoldenGate Validata can identify that discrepancy as well. And if you want to repair that, you can repair that as well. Okay, it does data check only. It cannot do any metadata check. Okay. So Validata is available not only for Oracle, again, it is available for 5-6 databases, which includes DB2, MySQL, SQL Server. I'm not sure. I think about Postgres. Yeah, Postgres also it supports. Yeah, these databases it supports. Okay. Now, Validata nowadays you might have heard, like, because of these cloud migrations, ongoing cloud migrations. So organizations want to confirm whether their data is in sync or not. So they buy Validata licenses as well. So Validata is another product which is getting very popular. Another thing is the certification part as well. GoldenGate certification contains 10 to 15% of questions from Validata as well. So Validata is another important thing. So GoldenGate family, if I have to talk about overall GoldenGate family. GoldenGate family includes classic architecture, microservices. Sorry, this is misspelled. This is microservices. Sorry, I misspelled it. I'll correct it afterwards. So it's microservices. Okay. So GoldenGate family comprises classic architecture, microservices, and Validata. So if you go out for if you find any job related inquiries or any job openings, you will find all the things coming either from classic and or microservices and or Validata. None of the question, anything goes out of these three. Okay. Now, one more question to you. Then this is another common question which I'm asking you right now. With introduction of this microservices, integrated no longer exists. We see classic exists, but we don't see the term integrated. So first of all, have you guys heard the term integrated? And do you have the question, like, with the introduction of microservices, integrated no longer exists? What do you think? Okay, I'll answer it for you now. So in GoldenGate, you have got different types of extracts and replicats. You have got different types of extracts and replicat in Oracle GoldenGate. So you have got two types of extract, integrated and classic extract. So initially when GoldenGate was there was only one type of extract, that we used to call as extract. Now with introduction of integrated one, they renamed the existing one to classic extract. And integrated extract support was introduced from GoldenGate version 11.2.04, GoldenGate version, and database version 11.2.08. Similarly, there are different types of replicats as well. What are those? Different types of replicats include non-integrated or classic replicat, integrated replicat, coordinated replicat, and parallel replicat, which is introduced from GoldenGate version 12.3. So replicat, initially when GoldenGate was there was only one replicat. Now when integrated replicat was introduced in GoldenGate version 12.1, what it did was they renamed the existing one to classic or non-integrated. Then they launched integrated. Then in 12.2, they launched coordinated replicat to parallelize your classic replicat. And now the latest replicat is GoldenGate 12.3. Now there are again two types of parallel replicat. So the one which you see, the first two replicats which you see here, they are in non-parallel. Now parallel replicat is divided into two parts. When you run non-integrated replicat in parallel mode, it is called as parallel non-integrated replicat. And when you run integrated replicat in parallel mode, it is called as parallel integrated replicat. So for using parallel non-integrated replicat, the minimum database Oracle version should be 12.1 and GoldenGate version should be 12.3. Similarly, parallel integrated replicat you can use only if your database version is 12.2 and GoldenGate version is 12.3. Now, there are different types of extracts and replicat. Now, some of you might have this question, what is extract, what is replicat? So this question will be answered to you in next slide. But for those because this question I receive a lot with the introduction of this classic, with introduction of this microservices. Does integrated no longer exist? So the answer to that question is microservices is an architecture. However, integrated is extract and type of extract and replicate. So what happens is under classic architecture, you can configure different types of extracts and replicates, which include classic and integrated. Similarly, you can create different types of replicate, which include non-integrated replicate, integrated replicate, coordinated replicate, or parallel replicate. Similarly, under microservices, you have got option to choose which one you want to configure, whether you want to configure classic extract or integrated extract. Similarly, you can choose different options of replicates as well. So I again repeat, integrated is type of extract and or replicate. However, microservices is overall an architecture. This confusion, why this confusion comes is classic basically means traditional. So what happened was there was only GoldenGate when microservices was not there. So the traditional architecture was renamed to classic, or existing was renamed to classic. Same way, there was only one type of extract initially. When integrated was launched, so they renamed the existing type of extract to classic. Okay. So now let us discuss about architecture of Oracle GoldenGate. So Oracle GoldenGate classic architecture. How data flow happens basically in GoldenGate. So GoldenGate is a near real-time replication tool. So near real-time means as soon as the transaction happens on source, it should be applied on the target database. Right? How it happens? Let us discuss. So you have a source database and a target database. So your source database can be any Oracle or any non-Oracle supported database. Same way, your target database can be any Oracle and any non-Oracle databases. So what happens is each database has its own transaction logs. In GoldenGate, in Oracle, it is called as redo logs or backup of redo logs, which are called as archive logs. So whatever changes happen. So basically, we have to understand one thing. GoldenGate is a CDC tool. GoldenGate is a CDC tool. CDC stands for Change Data Capture. So what does Change Data Capture tool means? Change Data Capture tool means whatever changes, whether it is DML or DDL. So what type of changes can happen in the database? Either they will be DML. DML means insert, update, delete. And this requires commit, right? And then you have DDL transaction. DDL transaction means when you make changes to the data definition, like when you alter, modify, drop, or any other definition change you make, and they don't require commit. So these are the changes we make. So where those changes go? Those changes goes inside transaction logs of the database. So in case of Oracle, those transaction logs are redo logs, a backup of redo logs, which are called as archive logs. So whatever changes happens, those changes are recorded into the transaction logs of the database. Now, once those changes are logged into the database, GoldenGate extract, or which is also called, you see this capture, this is also called as extract process, which we were discussing in the previous slide. So this is also called as the extract process. So GoldenGate extract process reads the transaction logs and captures the committed transaction. So remember, the transaction logs of the database contains committed as well as uncommitted transactions. But GoldenGate extract process captures only committed transactions. Once those transactions are captured, it writes them to the trail files on local machine, which are called as local trail file, which are called as local trail file. So GoldenGate extract process captures the transactions, it writes them to the trail files on local machine. So these trail file resides on the operating system. They consume your disk. So capture process captures, it writes them to the trail file on local machine. So these trail files are binary format files. The format of trail file is same as your database redo log files. So capture process captures or extract process extracts the data, writes them to the trail file on local machine. Once the data becomes available into the trail file on local machine, it writes the data. There is a GoldenGate data pump process. Once the data becomes available into trail file on local machine. So trail file residing on local machine is called as local trail file. Once the data becomes available into local trail file, data pump process reads the data from local trail file, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to trail file on target, which is called as remote trail file. So the trail file residing on target system is called as remote trail file. So pump process reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to trail file on target, which is called as remote trail file. Once the data becomes available into remote trail file, GoldenGate delivery, which is also called as replicat process, is it reads the changes from the remote trail file and applies it to target database. So again, repeat. Extract process or capture. So during this training, guys, whenever we use capture or extract, those are used interchangeably. Again, delivery and replicat terms are also used interchangeably. So extract process. So as I mentioned, the transaction logs contains committed as well as uncommitted transaction. There is a misconception among DBAs that transaction logs contains only committed transaction. That's not true. Transaction logs contains both committed as well as uncommitted transaction. So GoldenGate extract process captures the data and captures only committed transactions. Once the transactions are committed, it writes them to the trail file on local machine, which are called as local trail file. Once the data becomes available into local trail file, data pump process reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail on target. So the format of the trail file on both source and target is same. They are binary format files. Once the data becomes available into these remote trail files, the GoldenGate replicat process reads the data from remote trail and applies it to target database. So there are three processes involved in GoldenGate replication: capture, pump, and delivery, or I should say extract, pump, and replicate process. Now there was a question: how will GoldenGate ensure that the data? Suppose if a transaction is running, how will GoldenGate apply it on target? So as I mentioned, and as soon as the transaction gets committed, then it gets captured, returned to remote trail by pump, and then replicate applies it. So only once the transaction gets committed, it gets applied on the target. Now the thing here is, GoldenGate applies the transactions in commit sequence number. So the transaction which gets committed first, it gets applied on target database first. So this is how GoldenGate ensures transactional data integrity as well. So GoldenGate also allows or supports or ensures transactional data integrity. It ensures that there is no data loss anywhere which happens. So there are three processes involved in GoldenGate replication: extract, data pump, and replicate process. Guys, if you are a DBA, you might get confused. Is it the same data pump as Oracle database data pump? No. Remember one thing, this data pump process is GoldenGate data pump. It has nothing to do with that database data pump export utility, export import utility. Okay, so this is data pump process, which is used to pump the data from local trail to remote trail. Now another important thing is, this format of the trail file is platform independent. So one of the major advantage with GoldenGate is this: GoldenGate is platform independent. That means that the format of the trail file, if you generate it on Sun Solaris, if you generate it on HPUX, the format always remains same. Format doesn't changes at all. Okay. So GoldenGate allows you to perform near real-time replication. How? I again repeat. Extract process captures the data. Upon reading the transaction logs of the database, it captures only committed transaction, write them to the local trail file. Once the data becomes available into local trail, the data pump process reads the data from local trail, sends it over TCP/IP network and writes it to remote trail. And then the replicate process reads the data from remote trail and applies it to target database. Another important thing which I have received a question. So how does GoldenGate ensure, like how come GoldenGate is near real-time tool? The answer to this question is this: GoldenGate does not transfer the trail file over TCP/IP network. Remember, it transfers the data which is being returned into local trail. It transfers the data. So as soon as the data becomes available into local trail, data pump process immediately writes it to remote trail on target machine. Okay. Now, GoldenGate also supports bidirectional replication. So bidirectional replication means both sides would be live and the data replication will happen from one side to another side. So you have got a source that, so now in bidirectional, what happens is, so unidirectional is one side to another side. Say, for example, you have a source database, ORCL, target database, ORCL1. So if you want to replicate from data from ORCL to ORCL1, will be replicated. But in bidirectional, what happens is both sides replication happens. So whatever transactions happens on ORCL, it will be replicated to ORCL1. Similarly, whatever transactions happen on ORCL1, it will be replicated to ORCL database. Okay. So there are three processes involved: extract, pump, and replicate. Now, if you see here, each process in GoldenGate has a source to read from and a target to write to. So capture process source is transaction logs of the database and target is local trail. Pump process source is local trail and target is remote trail. Replicate process source is remote trail and target is target database. So each process in GoldenGate has a source to read from and a target to write to. Now there is a question from Sudarshan. Is it mandatory to use pump process? When shall we use? So the thing is, guys, we'll be discussing that in more in detail right now. I don't want to answer it right now, but for now, consider pump is part of the architecture. The answer to this question will be answered when we discuss, because I don't know, because there is a audience. I don't want to confuse anyone with that question. That is kind of advanced question. We are into the session right now. So pump process is optional component, but it is recommended to be used. Okay. Okay. So if I just have to give a brief overview of this environment, like how GoldenGate is there. So when you install, we'll be doing the GoldenGate installation in the next session, but there is a utility, there is a executable for GoldenGate, which is GGSCI. GGSCI. So GGSCI stands for GoldenGate Software Command Line Interface. So GGSCI, when you do, you will be logged into GGSCI prompt. If you want to see what all GoldenGate processes are there in your environment, you can do info all to see. So basically in classic architecture, what happens, which is currently being used by 80% of implementation. So still, if you go out into the market, the expertise, even if you find GoldenGate as administrators, you will find they have knowledge on GoldenGate, but still microservices expertise, you won't. It is really very niche right now, GoldenGate microservices. So microservices again is not that common right now. Okay. So in today's session, if I have to quickly recap what we discussed is, we discussed about introduction to GoldenGate architecture. Like GoldenGate was acquired by Oracle in 2009, and since then it is known as Oracle GoldenGate. There are two types of architecture. One is classic, second is microservices. So classic is command prompt based architecture. Then in classic architecture, there are different type of processes, which are extract and replicate process. GoldenGate is a change data capture tool. Whatever changes are happening in the database, those changes are stored in redo logs. GoldenGate stores are redo logs or archive logs of the database. Microservices architecture was introduced in 2017, and you can manage it through GUI, and it is available on cloud as well. GoldenGate Veridata is another tool which is used to verify the data. And in a license part, as per Oracle, if you have GoldenGate license, you can use both GoldenGate Classic as well as microservices architecture. Now, GoldenGate is near real-time replication. It supports heterogeneous environment as well and heterogeneous platform across different databases. Then there are different types of extract processes, classic and integrated extract process. So classic extract is there since beginning, and integrated is the latest one. Now, what is the difference between integrated and classic is integrated extract is much faster performance wise, and it deals with the database log miner. Classic architecture directly creates the process and puts more load on the database. Performance wise, integrated extract is 5 times faster. We will be discussing in the training. Then different types of replicats are non-integrated or classic, integrated, coordinated, or parallel replicat. Parallel replicat is again of 2 types: parallel integrated and parallel non-integrated replicat. So guys, we'll be continuing the session tomorrow. So it will be day 2, I should say, day 2 session. So the day 2 session will be tomorrow, same timing. So if you are in Eastern time zone, it's 8:30 to 9:30. Central timing, it is 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. If you are in Pacific time zone, US, it is 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. And if you are in India, it's 6 to 7 p.m. If you are in UK, I believe it would be 1:30 to 2:30. But check it. I think it's 5 hours different, so it should be that. If you are in Europe, you will have same timing. Okay, check your time zone converter for that. So in the next session, we'll discuss about GoldenGate architecture, how data flow, GoldenGate certification matrix, download and installation. So the meeting link, I believe, will be same, but that would be confirmed by, you will get that notification, but as it should remain same as of today. Okay. So there were a few questions during the chat. Let me read out those if I have missed anything. So when will this bidirectional be used for? So this bidirectional GoldenGate replication is used on many places. Like, say for example, lot of airlines or bankings use it to sync both the sides. Like, say for example, I'll give you one scenario. You have an account in a bank. You have, say for example, if I talk about India, you have what HDFC Bank. You go to Mumbai, I go to Delhi branch to open the bank account. Now, when I go to Mumbai branch, I see that bank account number 11 is available. Similarly, the person who is going to Delhi, he also sees bank account number 11 is available. But that bank account number 11 can be assigned to only one person, right? So what happens is, if it is assigned to one person, the data will be replicated from Delhi to Mumbai or Mumbai to Delhi, saying that this account number is no longer available. This is one of the scenario. But another scenario I'll tell you is, I was working for one of the big UK telecom company. So what used to happen, they used to send one file. There were 2 sites, Rochdale and London. So they used to send one file either to Rochdale or either to London. So if the file comes to Rochdale, it should be replicated. So basically, file loads the data into the database, and using that, it will be replicated to other site. So that is another. So there are a lot of use cases, like airline uses it, booking companies uses it, this bidirectional replication. So there are a lot of use cases. Like now, GoldenGate has also, Oracle has also introduced this bidirectional automatic conflict detection and resolution. So if any conflict comes, you will be able to get that as well. That will be resolved. That it will be resolved as well. Now there is another question. Is Veridata licensed or included? It is a separately licensed product. And there is another question I am unable to read. What is initial load? So initial load is loading of data initially. So say for example, there is a source database which has 1 terabyte of data. Now, due to some compliance regulations, it is decided that you have to replicate the data using Oracle GoldenGate from today onwards. So in that case, GoldenGate can replicate the data from today onwards. What about historical data, that 1 terabyte of data? So you will have to load the data to get the database into sync and then start the GoldenGate application. So process of loading the data initially is called as initial. What is prerequisite to learn GoldenGate? Like you should have basic, you should only know basic Linux commands, and you should know about basic what is redo logs in the database. And it is always good if you know how to, what are create table commands, create user commands, and how to insert, delete. Anyways, during the training, we'll be discussing all the prerequisites. So these are the things. What about other vendors compared to GoldenGate, like 5trend? Now, I'm not going to discuss about those, but I can say that GoldenGate is market share is much more than any other vendor. Price is one thing. I'm not talking about price. They may be, like DataGuard is also the product, right? But the value it brings to the table is much more than that, right? So that's the thing. That's why Oracle GoldenGate right now is hottest technology. You all see, right? Okay. So I hope I was able to answer all the questions. Still, if you have any question, feel free to email or reach out on WhatsApp number. Also join the WhatsApp group for this. Okay, do join this WhatsApp group, and that's okay. Any other question from anyone? You can ask. If we configure GG at DR is out of sync since few hours. What is the approach to make sync? So if you configure GG on DR, right, like DR is out of sync. What is up? So you need to, first of all, so there are two things. If I have to ask this question, means rephrase this question. So are you extracting the data from DataGuard, active DataGuard, or you are using the target solution as a DR? So the thing is, if you are using target solution as a DR, in that case, you will have to, means GoldenGate always generates the trail file and it will replicate it without any issues. There was another question, I missed that. Just 1 minute. We'll be discussing all these things in detail during the training as well. What will be the system compatibility to install GoldenGate? So tomorrow that question will be answered for you. This training will make you self-dependent and means you will be able to answer all the queries on your own. This training will make you that. This is what I'll be telling you tomorrow. So after tomorrow, you will be able to answer all these questions, like what databases it supports, what it does. All questions you will be able to answer tomorrow. Is there a limitation to number of tables GoldenGate can handle? I'm not aware about. There is no limitation. GoldenGate can replicate 1,000, 100,000, 10,000 of tables. Okay, now guys, with the training, let me tell you what are the offerings of the training. Anyways, I'll be discussing that in detail in the next session anyways. But with the training, when you join the training batch as well, you have got 1 year unlimited retakes, access to recorded sessions as well. You will get step-by-step activity guides, one-on-one doubt clearing sessions. There is lifetime on-job support. So any technical issues related to GoldenGate you are facing in your workplace, you will have lifetime on-job support. You have a lifetime WhatsApp support as well. You will get. So WhatsApp support means, and you will be part of elite training WhatsApp group where other training students of mine are there. So you can post your questions over there. You can answer other people's questions, queries over there. You will have lifetime WhatsApp support. You will also receive lab setup kit for practice. So basically the virtual boxes which I was sharing or doing the thing, you will get that as well. So those virtual boxes comes with database software 19C and GoldenGate 21C as well as 19C as well. So the training program which we'll be doing, it will be on 21C latest version. So we'll be discussing what is the difference between older version and 21C. What are the new features of 21C? We'll be discussing about all those. So these sessions are practical, and you can, so 1 year unlimited retakes means you can join any session for next 1 year, any number of times. And these sessions are completely practical and job oriented. Okay. Yeah. And another thing is what I expect from you during the training is whatever we are doing, implement it practically, and rest I assure you will be very good with it. This training will make you learn a lot. You will be having very good time. So join tomorrow's session, then you can decide as well. Join tomorrow's session. You will learn tomorrow as well. Some very good new things you will learn tomorrow. So any other question from anyone?
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining. There is one more message I see. I hope guys you were able to follow the session. How was it? Was it good? Were you able to follow? Please do share the feedback. It helps. Thank you. Thank you everyone. All the best, and you will do good.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you. Thank you everyone. It was really fun. The good part was you guys were very you guys were asking questions, so it wasn't a one-way train.
Yeah, before we end up this class, just wanted to thank you everyone for joining this training session. And Ashish is always there to help us for this GoldenGate training. And apart from this GoldenGate training, we do also provide the training on different technologies like Oracle DBA, RAC DBA, and this GoldenGate especially. Ashish is there. So like you might have already heard him, like 15 years of experience with the GoldenGate. So his specialization with this technology is always helping us to become expert in the Oracle DBA technologies. So we'll connect tomorrow also, and after that you guys can decide like whether you want to continue this knowledge and you want to expert in the Oracle DBA. So you can use the same Zoom link tomorrow itself. Okay. And those people who are interested for this completely real-time GoldenGate training, they can reach out to us. We already have a WhatsApp group there. You can join this WhatsApp group, and if you have any doubts regarding this training and all, you can reach out to us. Thanks, Ashish. Again, it was a wonderful session, and we'll continue tomorrow also. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Ankush. Thank you, Sakal.